especially if it was, you know, a sample of a voice of an artist, because they would still get the percentage and get paid out. But I bet you Ice Cube wishes now that he would have cleared that, because he'd be paid like a motherfucker right now. You know what I mean? But that's what happened with that song. That's why that's the original one,
So
and
that version is the original Dear Mama
that's
record.
that's how it's supposed to have been. The original come out just like that, but they couldn't clear the samples, so because Ice Cube said no, he told his manager no, they can't use that. So
Wow.
of course he couldn't just keep the Richard Pryor in there without Yo-Yo, because it ran perfectly. So if you ask me, I think the original, well, the version that's out now, I think it's a lot better because it's more commercial, with the singing in there. And
Right.
I think everything is meant to be, and that's how it should have been. So, that's just a piece of history that I let people know about, that this is the original one. And then Billboard, they did a write up on me where I explained the whole story about it.
So did you play the guitar on that?
No, no, I didn't. That was done by a brother. Damn, what's his name? I can't think of it off the top. Tony. What's Tony's last name? I forgot. He did the whole song. I just did the scratching on there, but
Uh,
all that, it's the scratching that made the whole song change,
oh,
which
okay.
brought the original because they couldn't clear it. So now, Tony Pizarro, he produced the original Dear Mama, and it was a sample from Joe Sample, which is probably that's all that is on that version. Is just a sample looping over and over again. And I was around the whole album, Me Against the World. I was with Pac almost every day in the studio, working with him. So there's a lot of Pac was a type of person, just like how Layla and Cole 27 Above the Law, how they operate. They'll bring you in there just like Hutch brought me in for, Black Godfather, to listen to it and say, hey, what do you feel about it? Any kind of input I would bring, especially from a DJ standpoint. So I always did that with everybody, you know what I mean? Even though, I don't ask for no credit in any kind of way. I'm just giving my input. And if I do produce a track, then I do produce it. But if not, then, I'll still give my 2 cents on certain things, on coming up with different ideas with the artists. And they like that. And I like it too. And back in them days, Pac would always ask me about everything, what he was doing. Do you like this? But he was very smart when he asked me, so, what was your favorite part? And he asked me about Dear Mama, my favorite part. I said, put money in the mailbox, because a lot of people didn't know back then mail means money. And he would say that a lot. But that was like a Bay Area thing that he picked up from the Bay. So he picked up a lot of his slang from the Bay. So a lot of people in LA, they didn't really know what that meant until later on when they heard E40 and Too Short and everybody. We picked up on LA too, because I'm from both places. I'm from the Bay and LA. My parents are from LA, so I was constantly back and forth my whole life. Um, but the Bay is its own world. When it comes to slang, look at E40. He's like the ultimate in that.
The breezy.
Yeah, the breezies. The girls and shit. Yeah,
I love the Bay.
the breezies.
I've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
out there. I fuck
Word.
with the Bay heavy.
Hmm.
It's like
Yeah, it's like New
Brooklyn.
York out there. Yeah, it is, because you
Yeah,
got the
it's like
bridges and
Brooklyn.
everything. Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
like Brooklyn. It
mm.
reminds me of Brooklyn.
Brooklyn's in
Everybody,
the
all the dudes
house.
is pimping.
Book of Brooklyn's in the house. Cut
Yeah,
Master. TC or DC Cut
The
Master.
Bay is rough out there. People don't know about
Oh
the Bay, but
man,
it get busy.
they get busy, man.
So let me ask you this,
Hmm.
because you're also a producer.
Right.
As a producer, what's your equipment of choice?
Right now or back then?
Just both. Give us both, because
I'll
times
give you.
change. Back
Hmm.
then you was more live instrument. What what
You know,
what's the
my favorite piece of equipment back then was an Ensoniq EPS, which
mm,
later became the ASR 10, ASR 12. It was a
And a
sampler.
sampler.
Yeah, a sampler. That's what I used for when we did Real Bad Boys, Tupac, Real Bad Boys with Gangsta D from Boss from Detroit. Rest in peace, Boss. produced her too. Um, and of course, now I'm using the MPC Key 61 Akai.
Is that the digital one?
Yes, digital
Mm.
workstation. hmm You know, but it's all in. It's on board. It don't need a computer to roll with. So of course you can plug it into a computer, but you know this is like hands on.
Yeah, I think
So you can.
I think I seen Primo using that.
hmm Yeah, they're pretty dope. And then as far as like anything that's online, that's an application to make beats. I use Serato Studio because I'm into Serato just being a DJ, but they got Serato Studio